Chapter 6, Ascension and Descent.
Subatomic particle research examines the frequency between 1/100th of a second to 1/1,000,000,000th of a second from now, the Big Bang. My familiarity with music's visual representation was applied when translating subatomic event graphs into music. Data obtained at the Z resonance frequency using the Delphi detector at LEP are used to determine an hadron multiplicity in gluon and quark jets as a function of a transverse momentum-like scale, similar to the scale used to represent music recorded into my computer. I needed other points of view on those frequencies if the music was to reflect the brilliant nature of such insights. In my monastic studies, we compared the Oriental and Occidental descriptions of the death regions and angelic spheres. Those timeless, limitedness aware descriptions match properties of the subatomic events observed. So science, scripture, and tonetics were the three facets through which I gazed upon this diamond bright dimension. Subatomic particle frequency rays were categorized as electron, muon, tau, down quark, up quark, top quark, and Big Bang by science. Scripture categorized spiritual reasons as dreams, knowledge, acceptance, longing, merging, archangels, and Trinity God. Tonetics categorizes ascending modalities above B, physical concerns, progressing by fifths. First, dreaming. The occipital lobe and delta brainwaves stimulated by F sharp, fifth down from B. Next, the temporal lobe and theta brainwaves resonate with C sharp. The perennial lobe and alpha waves by D sharp. The frontal lobe and beta waves with D sharp. The nerves and cornea, bioelectric field, A sharp. Awareness with E sharp, F. And the bass resonance of now, For other points of view, I studied the writings of Sawensing, India's great master, one who dispels the confusion of many. He described the color and rhythm of each spiritual's regions, using the same grouping of traits as subatomic physics, matching Sawen's rhythms to the graph peaks from each subatomic particle, showed which drum pattern from Roland's 160 possible variations best expressed each particle region. Deep meditation preceded each night's one-man performance to interpret the notes, rhythm, and mood stimulated by these frequencies. I programmed the bass pattern to follow the brainwave delta, theta, alpha, beta, uric pulse charts. The keynote of each region's modality came from the conversion of their color and hertz rate divided by 2 until audible. Instrument selection for Roland's rhythm accompaniment was based on sounds heard by yogis and after-death survivors. After programming these parameters into Roland's rhythm arranger, I could record each night's musical exploration of that region's frequency. Each day, as I adjusted clients in my San Antonio office, We listened. Their subtle responses, guided by selection of instruments, arrangements, volume, and the 1 in 400 chord voices to play for each song's maximum bio response. If you heard that the musicians of Maximus were resistant to playing sparingly for planetary voices, you hear. If you predict resistance to playing the perfect emotionalist eternal order of spiritual subatomic physics, you see. The closely packed frequencies between awareness and now have no counter rhythm. In nature, when a pebble hits water, the waves hit shore, returning to encounter the oncoming waves. In subatomic regions, no distance to return from and no time to separate each encounter. No counter rhythm. Instead, the same rhythm seems to move backward in time, without affecting the wave potential in space-time. Our conguero always played counter rhythm. He could not stop himself. Getting him to play the true rhythm of free electrons on first stream was accomplished by asking him to silently repeat a group of syllables from Samhain's sonification of that region and drum along with their cadence. This turned out to be his best sonification efforts, playing with, rather than counter to, free electron flow. Only a computer can play with the parameters of each song without daily emotional content. To sonify the top quark frequencies, archangels, for songs 6 and 8 on Ascension, only the computer and I were recorded. The resonant archangel spheres are too close to God's Big Bang now to be affected by our daily hormonal secretions. Samhain describes the sound of this region as two streams, flowing in opposite directions in the same place and time. Not many instruments produce that sound. However, the chord voice CB80, Victor's, has exactly that effect. Our guitar man for this subatomic sonification effort was Memo Fernandez. His focus was to create new sounds from his Les Paul Gibson guitar. No other guitarist could have produced such constantly intriguing sounds for these frequencies. At first I thought he was timid and too careful. Then I realized his quiet moments were spent looking for just the right sound. Never content with what he just already knew. Each song was a journey of exploration for just the right resonance. If your band needs a constantly updated sound from your guitar man, Memo Fernandez can be accessed from MBC.
Okay, musically, I can play Looking Up Now's Skirt. But what do the angels hear as God's awareness descends from now to dwell in man?
Musically, it would sound backwards to the angels, God to man instead of man to God. The physical rates are slower than the estimated top quark wave potential, 1/1 trillionth of a second. How could I get the musicians to play slower, lower, and backwards? Simple. Record all the Ascension music on my 4-track tape, then turn the reels of tape backward and play them at half speed to keep the same keynote. Then go crazy listening to twice as much half-speed backward music, selecting the best cuts that sonify the view indifferent and rebellious God takes to escape the angel's assurance of his return. God's refuge from heaven dwelling in us as our awareness now. Once the Ascension Descent CD was complete, I noticed a strange personal effect. Dendrite connections were simulated, which revealed a new view through the resonating fabric of space-time, and insects began to respond. When Ascension Descent came on the ranch speakers, the insect populations began to sway. Listening to this music forward, then backwards, produces the most balanced dendrite simulation I have experienced. The brain's habit of comparing each moment to past memories finds similarities in the forward and backward versions of each song, producing dendrite connections and incredible internal electric flow. Listening to this Ascension CD on random play enhances this effect. To explain this, I must now confess to using equal doses of music on both humans and animals for my own selfish research curiosity. When the cows came up for water, if they stayed or left right away, revealed a lot about the Maximus music being played. I noted when the peacocks trumpeted in resonance with my flute or horn, and when the bull would bellow along. The deer gathered in the shade for an instrumental tape, but never for vocals. All loved my rave CD, but it made them a little bit jumpy. Never had insects responded until I composed in the F sharp, C sharp, D sharp, D sharp, A sharp, E sharp, and B sharp modalities of brain wave response for Ascension. Crystal first pointed it out when she noticed the seasonal crop of grasshoppers swaying on their front legs to the music. I turned the music off, and all the hoppers continued their normal routines. Turn the music back on, and again they began to sway. Turn other Maximus music, and no hopper response. Play Ascension, and if a bug feels at ease, it sways. Now, I'm not saying I can shake hands and have conversations with insects, but I do feel less apprehensive about encounters with evolved insect species, controlling technologies as sophisticated as mammals. In dreams or awake, I now know telepathy, awareness, is in the music between us, not the words.